Hello, everyone. My name is Carla Patton. I am the owner of The Harvest Doctor. I build and I install raised garden beds specifically for those who have trouble bending and standing. Oftentimes, my raised garden beds are ADA compliant. I am also a gardening educator. I am a nationally recognized gardening educator. I need to be a little bit more proactive in like sharing, all of my rewards. I won second place for best gardening research at the National Collegiate Honors Council, which is just an awesome. It was so awesome. Also, I am very gifted in transforming women into plant ladies, into plant divas, especially women who are hesitant about gardening or have a negative perception about gardening. I have that ability to just transform, like, I don't have a green thumb, to like teaching classes in gardening. I don't know why, I just have this gift. So that's why I'm sharing all this information with you. For those who have consumed or interacted with my content on social media and have not purchased any products from me, they have experienced transformation too. I have helped over 100 women become gardening and agricultural divas. But if they have not purchased any of my products, they are making an extremely costly mistake because they're just winging it. They're doing it on their own and they're not seeking out this content that is in depth. But you are special and you are not making that mistake. So I want to go over some of the gardening mistakes that I've made over the years and in ways in which you can prevent them. So gardening's mistake number one is you don't leave enough room between plants. And I know that there is a very popular gardening influencer out there who really embraces the method and the idea of growing plants, loading up, a bunch of plants in a small 2x3 garden or in a small 2x8 garden. And that's all fine and dandy. But you know what? You got to be out there every single day monitoring those plants, making sure that there's, not, animal droppings and leaves, floating in your garden. You have to be out there every day or every other day, spending at least 5 hours, a week or more, just making sure that your garden is nice and clean because you can plant them in a small space. It's like, okay, I get that. Because for like, if you got, let's just say a plant like a carrot, you're going to eat the carrot for its roots, not necessarily the green part, right? You're eating the carrots for its roots. So it's a very vertical, right? So versus collard greens is more horizontal, like the roots grow more so outward. So if you're planting your fruits and vegetables very close together, yes, it will force the roots to grow more vertically. So you need a bigger garden, you need something that has depth to it, at least 2 feet, right? But again, you better be out there and you have to be trimming those plants every single week because those plants, they're going to rub up against each other. And then before you know it gets, and if you neglect it, before you know it, it'll get too crowded, right? And then your plants will begin to choke out. And then before you know it, you'll have an infestation of all kinds of pests and diseases and mold. So if you're going to follow this very popular gardening person who glamorizes planting, plants very close together, I would caution you on that. I mean, it's doable. You could do it, but I would caution you on that. Another gardening mistake that you could be making is this idea is that you're stepping on your soil. Oh my goodness, that is like the biggest pet peeve. I can't stand it when people step on soil. It's like, it's just like, you know how when you have a chalkboard and when you take your nails and you just rub your nails or you just dig your nails into the chalkboard and it's like, and it just makes that noise where you're like, oh, I can't take it. It's the same thing when people step on their gardening soil. It's like, don't do that. Number one, you are ruining your garden. Not only are you just transferring all kinds of germs and pathogens that would just ruin your plants, but you're also stepping on the soil and you're collapsing the air pockets in the soil. Your roots need air, even though it's deep in the ground and you may not think air lives in soil and in and around soil. It needs air pockets. So if your big 150-pound body is stepping on your beloved garden, you better believe it's going to choke out your roots because you're stepping all the air out of the soul, and that is like such a huge pet peeve. Also, you smoke around your garden. Never, ever, 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 ever smoke near a garden. That is another pet peeve of mine, especially cigarettes, really. The reason being is that when you're smoking cigarettes, number one, your plants are, I don't want to say like inhaling it, but they are taking it on. So if you go through the gardening packet that I'm giving you, I talk a lot about like forest fires and how because I know there was the Canadian wildfires that was really impacting the gardens, especially here in Western New York. But your plants take that on. Also, another really important reason why you should never smoke near your garden is because the tobacco leaves can essentially fall, and it won't necessarily cause a fire, but it will fall into your garden. And if it falls near a nearby a tomato plant, it will ruin your tomato plant. You might as well just put it in the trash, put it in the compost. It's ruined, it's done. Tobacco and tomato plants come from like a very similar family, but when you're mixing the two together, it can cause like very serious problems. So I know like the image of Jody from what's that movie, Baby Boy, where she's smoking her cigarette, tending to her tomato plants. I know like that meme was going around. I even posted it like, yeah, haha, that is cool, that is goals. But number one, you shouldn't smoke, period, right? Because it's bad for your lungs and it causes cancer. But number two, whoever set up that scene obviously has no idea about gardening. They should have hired a gardening expert to consult them on that scene, because you would know never, ever, 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 ever to smoke in a garden, and especially near a tomato plant. That's just like saying, kill my tomato plants now, right? Kill them now, right? So don't smoke near a garden. And last but not least, another gardening mistake that you're making is that you don't disinfect the gardening tools. I know. You know what? In the beginning of my gardening journey, I just felt like dirt was dirt. And we don't use the D word around here. We don't use dirt because dirt is a cuss word, right? But I used to just think soil was soil, whatever. But the reality is that gardening tools carry so many pathogens that can contaminate your soil. So what I usually do after each use, I measure out the correct amount of bleach, and I soak them in there, and I soak my gardening tools in the bleach, and I also use just regular Dawn soap, and then I just scrub the dirt off, basically. So always disinfect your gardening tools. Always do that. And then they will last longer. They will last longer. So thank you so much for listening to this lesson. I cannot wait to see you again soon. Please like, comment, or subscribe. Tell your friends about all the wonderful things that you are learning in our lessons together. Okay. Take care. See you soon. Bye-bye.